Danny Flexen for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by esteemed trainer, old friend, Don Charles. How are you doing?
I'm very well, Danny. And how are yourself?
I'm good. I'm good. Thriving, despite the lack of boxing generally. But
Yeah.
this weekend's a great weekend for boxing, so we're quite positive at the moment. What I wanted to talk to you about, though, I'm sure you're not surprised by this. It's finally been confirmed. Dereck Chisora, Oleksandr Usyk, October
Mhm.
31st, Halloween. And
Yeah.
just wanted to get some insight from you as Chisora's former trainer, but more than that, someone who probably knows him better than pretty much anyone else, even at this stage. Just
hmm
first of all, if you were still working with Dereck, is this a
hmm
fight that you would have looked for? Is it a fight you would have relished? It seems style-wise it might be a difficult one for him.
Well, the thing is, it's not a question of a fight we would relish to have. Sometimes in life, in anything we do, you don't have many options, especially the climate of boxing at the moment, the boxing industry. So there comes a point where it's not necessarily an ideal opponent for Dereck to face. But having said that, he's at a point in his career, Dereck, where he needs to face an opponent such as Usyk for the credibility. Where his career is at the moment, Dereck, he needs a real fight. So I could see the reason why, even if I was still working with him, why we would make that calculated decision to take the risk of fighting someone as dangerous as Usyk, because if the gains are great. If you pull it off, then it propels you into a very, very good position in the world of the heavyweight situation at the moment. It's wide open. Win this fight, is straight back in the mix, and that's basically why I would say that decision was made to take a fight of this stature.
Now, Derek's still working with David Haye, of course. In his last fight, we saw Steve Broughton was the main man in the corner on fight night. Last
hmm
time I spoke to Dereck, he suggested Broughton wouldn't be brought back for the Usyk fight, but there's been no
hmm
real confirmation on who would be working it. Have you heard anything? Have you got any insight into that?
No, I haven't actually. I was, I tend to concentrate on the things that matter to me, things that I'm doing currently. So I'm as wise as any like yourself in the sense that only what I read on social media is that's the only way I get my information. Like I said, I'm concentrating on what I'm doing personally. No, I haven't actually heard anything of who's going to be in the corner of the chief second in the corner on the night. No, I haven't heard anything.
Is it a concern that at this stage of Derek's career, when every fight really is kind of make or break now, that he changes who's in the corner or seemingly every fight in the last couple?
Well, you know, it's not a question of changing. When because he's spent most of his career with myself, with most significant fights he's had has been with myself.
Yeah.
All his big fights. So it's very, very hard. Sometimes it's very hard. It's almost like I always bring football analogies into whenever you talk to me. It's almost you go like football manager, for instance. Sometimes you remove a manager, and it's very, very hard to replace that manager. And that's basically what you'll find that not just with myself and Dereck Chisora, with a lot of fighters, when you remove that guy who knows you inside out, not just physically, how you mentally, how you take, it's very, very hard to get that ideal replacement for myself. So I think that's what you're finding now. So no, and Dereck is very particular athlete. He's a special athlete, so he needs somebody who has my type of approach and obviously he hasn't found that, because if he found that, he would have that permanent fixture for these fights that he's having. I'm sure between him and David Haye, why David Haye doesn't take the thing and say, I am the coach. He is the coach, in my opinion. Yeah, he is the coach. Just step up, take it for the better, for the worse. Yeah. If you lose, you've lost. If you win, you're great. You won. Take that. David Hay is the coach, and he should step up on the night and be in the corner and as the chief change his hat from a manager's hat. Because behind the scenes, he is the coach. No matter who's in charge, he is the coach, in my opinion. So he should, on the night, be the coach in the corner.
Do you know if he has a trainer's license?
That I couldn't tell you.
That may be what's keeping him from the corner. I don't know. I mean, obviously he could have applied for one, but maybe that's why.
I'm sure I've seen David in corners, but don't quote me. I'm not sure if he holds it.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Maybe that could be the. I don't know. I really don't know that.
Oleksandr Usyk is a fantastic fighter, undisputed champion at cruiserweight, WBSS winner, great amateur as well. I guess the key question isn't so much about his ability going into this fight, but it's whether he's a genuine heavyweight. How do you assess that? You're something of a heavyweight connoisseur, heavyweight expert.
Well, I've dissected the fight like you do. You know, whether I'm involved in the fight or not. Any fight that's announced, especially in the heavyweight division, I take a great interest in it and trying to dissect it to try and choose a winner. I'm doing exactly the same thing with this contest between Chisora and Usyk. I did for a different network. I did when it was first mentioned that there's possibilities of Dereck facing Usyk, and I was asked, how do I see the outcome? And I will break it down in the sense that yes, we all know what Usyk has accomplished as a professional. Amateur as well, highly decorated amateur, and as a pro, he hasn't put a foot wrong. Contested in the WS series.
WBSS, yeah.
Yeah, and prior to that, he did the.
WSB, yeah.
WSB league.
Yeah.
Where he did tremendously well. I believe he beat Joe Joyce in that contest. It was a very close. Contested fight, and I believe it was won on a split. Yeah, he won it on a split against Joe. Then he turned pro and he's won the cruiserweight division on unified. It was unified, right?
Yeah, won all the belts in the end.
Yeah, and but there is a but. That but, I'm still not convinced because he's only fought once as a heavyweight, right?
Yeah, against Chaz Witherspoon.
Yeah, Chaz Witherspoon. And from my observation whilst watching that fight, Chaz Witherspoon took that fight from what was reported on a very short notice, something as short as 10 days notice, something like that. Right. And from a coach's point of view, he was putting gloves on Usyk.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the reason Chaz Witherspoon's lost that fight, in my opinion, he gassed because, again, he wasn't prepared. Stamina wasn't there. And Usyk was laboring, in my opinion, against him. Right. Coming to my point, I believe Chisora, and before I get to the conclusion of what the question you asked me, Chisora, to date, if you look at his race, four southpaws. And one thing they've all got in common, he's knocked all of them out. Yeah? Dereck usually mauls people, yeah, and stops them. Referee stops fight, but he's actually knocked them out. Yeah? So it could be a coincidence or whatever. Every southpaw, he has never lost to a southpaw. And every southpaw he has fought, from Lee Swaby to the fridge, Carl Baker, to recent times, Spilka, and what's the other chap? Gashi, right? He's knocked them all out. And I really do believe he will knock out Oleksandr Usyk. People might think, what are you saying? What I'm saying, look at statistics. Every southpaw he has 4 to date. I believe it's 4 to date. And he's knocked them all out. And Usyk not having campaigned at heavyweight in terms of fighting all the top contenders in the heavyweight division, Dereck is the first top operator in the heavyweight division he would have faced. So I really do, over the period, is it contested over 12 rounds? Either 10 or 12 rounds, yeah?
Yes, one of the two. I think it's 12.
Right. Chisora, the same Chisora who's been in the ring, you name it, he's been in the ring with everybody, yeah? It's a hard night's work for anybody. And I believe Dereck Chisora will grind it out. He'll take his punishment. Usyk will be touching him up, moving. And Dereck will make him work. Dereck will maneuver him into situations he's never been in before. And I believe he will eventually stop. It could be quick. It could be later on in the round. Once Dereck puts hands on him, gloves on him, it will stop him, in my opinion.
Now, I should point out, just for the sake of clarity, you're right that Chisora's never lost to a southpaw. However, he did get taken a distance by Gashi in what was a kind of boring fight. But
I remember it. So my apologies, yeah.
But he did manage to last the course.
But the chap never came to fight.
No, he came to survive, very much so.
Yeah.
You've obviously said you're predicting Chisora to come through, but if you were still in the corner, what would the game plan be? What are the tactics? You know, Usyk's a great mover. He's a great punch picker, very accurate. What does Chisora need to do?
Well, calculated pressure, press him. There are certain rules you must obey whilst fighting a southpaw. He knows what those rules are. And his coaches who are currently coaching him will also know what the do's and the don'ts whilst facing a southpaw. Like I said, pressure is the key, calculated pressure. Don't take shots on the way in, and make Usyk throw punches he doesn't intend to throw just to keep Dereck on. And Dereck's very good at that, pressing it. Yeah, but it has to be done smartly. And when a man is making you work more than you want to work, and when a man's a fully blown heavyweight, who's, I must say, although I'm not involved, he looks in tremendous shape, Dereck. And David Hay, for all I knock him for, one thing that he can assure, because I did work the camp for the Dylan White camp. One thing I used to say to David himself, because David's an out-and-out athlete, yeah? And his strengths are, he would have got Dereck to become an athlete, yeah? That I would give to him, David Hay, that is. So put all that together. And Dereck, Dereck's like, he's at a stage of his career, there's not really a lot more tricks. Yeah, you're always tweaking things. It doesn't matter how high level you operate, whatever it is you're playing, tennis, football, or boxing. There's always room to tweak, and tweaking the same moves. You tweak it. Dereck knows so much he's learned over the years that he's a very experienced fighter, and you get him fit, and I think the rest is a wrap. And I really do see. People think it won't be a shock to me. People are saying, "Oh, it will be a shock if he beat." No. He's a fully blown, experienced, seasoned heavyweight, yeah, who hasn't really taken that much punishments in the past in the fights that he has. Is that he can count on 3 occasions where he's taken punishment that in all the 43, 41 fights he's had to date. He's not a fighter who's shot, who's been. Every fight is been punished. No, it's still relatively, believe it or not, I would consider him as fresh. He doesn't slur his words. His speech is correct. There's a lot of factors here. Like I said, he's a fully blown, experienced, seasoned heavyweight, and he knows the road. He's not fazed by Usyk. Usyk, not putting him down by any means. Usyk's in the top boxer. With every skills, great movement, great boxing IQ, Usyk. But you know what? He's going to need more than that on the night. I believe Dereck does clobber him and stops him.
You said earlier you like to focus on things that you're involved in currently. So just tell us about your current stable. Who have you got working with you at the moment?
I've got a number of fighters, 5 fighters that I'm developing. I've done the journey before, so I know what it entails and how long it takes for them to surface to where they become known to the general boxing public. But behind the scenes, I'm a quiet man. When I speak, I'm not quiet. I'm outspoken. When I'm asked questions, I elaborate. But behind the scenes, I'm a hard worker, and I'm still aspiring to train a world champion, which I haven't done. In boxing, I have done it in the
You're
MMA.
still a young man, Don. There's still time.
Oh, I'm younger heart, man. So my aspiration, is to still train a world champion. Obviously, you know, my son George is a heavyweight. He's got great hope of succeeding, and I got Jordan Thompson, the cruiserweight, 6'7" cruiserweight, Florian Marku, Harry Armstrong, my other heavyweight. You know, so I've got these guys who are, like I said, I'm bringing through, and it's only a matter of time, providing we get back to some kind of normality where they can actually have fights. You know, then yeah, in the near future, I'm going to be producing back-to-back British champions to European to the world. And believe you me, in all the fighters I've just mentioned, I see a couple of world champions, or if not all of them, but I see definitely a couple of world champions within the fighters I'm working with now. I've learned enough, I've got enough experience, and I've done the journey once before, and I know if I missed anything on the first time round, I know I've regrouped, I know what to do to get them across the line.
Great stuff. Well, Don, it's always a pleasure, particularly to get your unique insight into this fight, because you, as I said, probably know Dereck better than anyone.
Yes, I agree with you.
Really appreciate it. And yeah, best of luck with your current stable, and I'm sure we'll catch up again very soon.
Thank you, Danny. Have a good day.